this continent. Good evening, Michaela and Philip. Good to see you. I hope everyone here can see Philip and Michaela. They're our contractors for the event. If you don't want to come off mute and ask questions, you can put things in the chat and I'll try to address them as we go. Okay, so this is the Montana trade mission to the Czech Republic and Hungary. The schedule is going to be June 12th through the 16th. We'll go through the full schedule here at the end. And we're with the Montana Department of Commerce. Some folks think we're the Montana Chamber of Commerce, so just clearing that up for you. This document that I'm going to go through, the confirmation, you should have that. It's in the calendar invitation and in the email that I sent you. If you don't have it, let me know and I'll resend it, but you'll get it a couple more times anyway. I'm going to send a follow-up after this with it. Okay, so a little geography lesson. You can see Czech Republic and Hungary are not right up against each other, but you can see they're a little far apart, so you'll understand why we have to fly or in between. There are links throughout the document if you want additional information. For example, you can click on this link here to see more information about traveling to the Czech Republic or traveling to Hungary. But I tried to pull the most important information off of those for you. You don't need a visa for either of these countries, but you do need a valid passport. So please check your passport, make sure it is valid for more than 6 months past June. So, you know, at least valid till 2024. If it's not, you need to get on that right away. Probably use the expedited service. If you're having issues with your passport, let me know, and I can help you find an expediter specifically for that. And I think you also need at least 1 blank page. I like to leave 3 because some countries are different, but I think you need at least 1 blank page. Okay, flight-wise, we do suggest that you plan on arriving on June 10th. That allows for any travel disruptions. COVID has just made those, I think, a little more common. Also, to give you a chance to recover from jet lag. The last thing you want to do is be not your best for these meetings that you've spent so much time and effort getting put together. If you recover quickly from jet lag, then I guess you can try to arrive at least by mid-afternoon on the 11th. That is the Sunday. And we'll probably have a meeting the evening of the 11th to kind of go over the mission. I do suggest that you take a look at your flight and make sure that you have enough time. I've found that when I book through Delta, sometimes it's too short of a layover, say in Amsterdam. For me, I don't like to run between flights. So just kind of look through your itinerary before you book and make sure that you have enough time. You are going to have to go through immigration once you land in Europe. So pay attention to that and give yourself plenty of time. I know there were some flight disruptions recently. So if anything really gets crazy, you can always look at the option of maybe taking a regional carrier, if flights get canceled or anything, or you can look at taking trains too. So that is one option. So we'll ask you to arrive in Prague and then fly home out of Budapest. I will say there may be some itineraries where that might be different, and we'll adjust as needed. Let's see. But for the travel stipend, please don't plan to leave Hungary before the evening of the 16th, just to make sure that you're getting as many meetings as possible. There is a stipulation through the Small Business Administration that funds the grant, and it's called the Fly America Act. You can just go through this, look at it here. If you book your entire flight through Delta or United, you should have no problem because they will book with their partner airlines, which is allowed on the Fly America Act. The flight in the middle is questionable from the Czech Republic to Hungary, but we include it anyway. I mean, between your hotel and your flight overseas, that should cover the travel stipend. All right. We are going to ask, we will need to book a flight from Prague to Budapest, but we are asking that you wait to do that because Michaela and Philip might, the nature of the meetings that you need to have might be outside of Prague. And if they're closer to Budapest, it might make more sense to either rent a car or have a driver or hop on a train or a bus or something like that. So wait to book that flight until you get a little more confirmation on where your meetings are going to be, and Michaela and Philip will advise you on that as we get a little closer. However, I did give you the details for the flight when it comes time to book that, but we'll send a reminder, probably May. We're thinking somewhere around in there. So Philip and Michaela gave me some suggestions for which hotels to stay in based on location in the city, ability for folks to, if you need to rent a vehicle, good parking. And so these are the hotels that they suggested for us. I would prefer you stay in these hotels if at all possible. The rates are pretty reasonable. However, if you want to stay in an Airbnb or some other place, that's all up to you. Just take a look at where these are and try to stay in the area so that it's easy for you to walk over for any of the dinner meetings or the dinners or the meetings, or for meeting with Michaela or Philip in the morning before you take off for the day. And we will have, I think, Michaela, you gather the travel details before everyone goes, so
yes, we would definitely provide information on that, and I would just suggest that if you choose a different hotel than what we suggested here, to make sure that they have their own parking lot, because it's not that common, I would say, in Prague that the hotel would have their own parking lots, especially in the city, in the old town. So it's just something that you should keep in mind. A lot of the hotels would have underground garages, but not all of them have that. So just in case, this is something to keep in mind.
Okay, thank you. I did put pictures here. I don't know. I like to be able to see what it looks like, so I know that the taxi driver is dropping me off at the right place. So once you arrive, so we let you plan your own arrival. If you want to arrive June 1st and hang out for a week before the mission, that's fine with me. But so this is just some suggestions for once you arrive. So you'll need to plan your own transportation from when you arrive to the hotel. You can get a taxi. They have the official taxi stands right outside the terminal, and Uber and Bolt are the other possibilities there. I do recommend that you download the apps and add your payment details before you leave the USA, just to make sure you can get all of those set up in time. On here, we're getting around Prague. I think, Michaela, you said that Uber is really affordable there, really cheap.
Yes, it's definitely cheaper than a regular taxi, but one thing to keep in mind is that in Prague we have both Uber and Bolt, but in Budapest it's only Bolt. Uber has been outlawed, so you need to install both apps preferably.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would recommend having both. Then there are some local apps, but I think you can just do with those two. Those are perfect. Bolt is pretty much the Central and Eastern Europe version of Uber, so it's also in Scandinavia. So yes, I would just use those and not really bother with taxis. unless you know that there is no car in the vicinity, but you would see that on your app.
Okay. And I mean, if this is your first time there, I suggest, yeah, just getting Bolt and not dealing with the subway or the bus system, especially if you've got luggage. It's a pain. So that's what I suggest, but it is possible. On the 14th, I'm going to, we're going to try to everyone go together from Prague to Budapest. But again, we're going to wait until May to make all of those decisions because some of you may have different plans. But I will book from the hotel to the airport a minivan, and then same for in Budapest from the airport to the hotel for those of you who are going to end up traveling on that flight with us, just to make it easy on everyone so we don't have to try to get separate vehicles. And then in Hungary, as Michaela mentioned, only Bolt is available, so make sure you have that, and it sounds very affordable. There were some additional, when I was reading about this online, there were some additional suggestions to make sure that if you get in a taxi, make sure it is an official taxi. And I think, yeah, the license plate and the top badge are supposed to be yellow. So be careful there, have the concierge get the taxi for you if possible. Let's see. And then when you leave Budapest, again, you can get a taxi, you can get a Bolt. There is an official transfer service from the airport, but again, most people will just have the concierge get them a taxi. There is the possibility of, depending on where your meetings are, that maybe you might rent a car. I know the last trade mission, for example, Jamie on the call here with us, rented a car like a crazy person and drove all over the place. And so just a couple of things you need to know about that. The Czech Republic and Hungary do not recognize American driver's licenses. So if you are going to drive yourself, you will need an international driving permit. It's really easy to get and does not take very long. You get it on site, but you will have to go to your AAA, your local AAA branch, and you'll have to fill out an application, pay a small fee. Just check out where your branch is, make sure the hours. I don't think that you can book an appointment, but you can just show up and have everything ready to go. And according to the internet, I haven't gotten one yet, but this is what the international driving permit looks like. I also recommend if you are going to be driving, just take a quick look at the driving regulations for the different countries. I know I rented a vehicle and drove all around Germany, and it was pretty standard stuff, but you'd want to make sure you're not going to break any traffic laws. The time zone right now is +8, and I think do you guys do the daylight savings also? So we're just kind of moved together?
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic. I always put sunrise and sunset up there just so you know how much daylight hours you have. It's not as important in June, but when you're planning about driving around, just know that sunset will be around 9 p.m. So you've got a lot of hours, daylight hours in June. It appears that when I was in Germany in June, it was unbelievably hot and there was no air conditioning anywhere. Apparently, Americans are very spoiled. But when I was looking at the weather for this month in the Czech Republic and Hungary, it looks like it's around 70 degrees. I don't know what that comes out to in Celsius. I bet Alan could tell us. But any thoughts on weather, Michaela and Philip?
Well, we have the longest days in June, as you rightfully said, and it's the beginning of the summer. So on some years, temperatures can go up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit on a sunny day. So it can be warm, but it is normally one of the best times of the year to visit both Prague and Budapest. So I would expect rather summerish weather than spring, but it should be nice, comfortable, and bearable.
Very good. All right. So the currency is different in each of the countries, but it's very, very easy when you arrive. You just go to an ATM and take some cash out. Plus, you can also use your card pretty much everywhere. The last trade mission, we found that when we all go out to dinner together and it's a large group, the waiters are not excited about and sometimes will not split the bill for you. So if you could have some cash on hand in both countries for the dinners so that we can put money on the table and not have too much confusion, that would be great. Oh, go ahead, Philip.
Sorry, one note on that. Do not exchange money right at the airport at the very first kiosk that you will see there near the luggage belts. They don't have good rates. Their margin is way too high. As Angie suggested, it's best to use your card to withdraw local cash from a bank ATM. I would recommend not to use one of the sort of travelers ATMs, but really a bank machine. And if you book a taxi or if you use Uber or Bolt to move from the airport to the hotel, there's no reason to hurry and do that at the airport. You can use cards in most places, if not all places. I can't remember when I last used cash, so this is quite similar. You probably want to have some, but no hurry, no need to hurry and do it right at the airport.
Thank you.
There was actually something that I learned on this last trip. There's a card called Revolt. It's a card that offers a subscription service if you choose, but Revolt, you can link it with your bank account, and then you can use that card in the various countries, and it'll calculate and show you the exchange rate. So if somebody gets a hold of that account, you literally have to put money from your US account into it, and then you can use the card. So almost like a prepaid, but there's no way for, if somebody were to hack it, especially if I'm using my business debit, they can't get a hold of my business money. They can only get a hold of the money that's in that Revolt count, and it's good for all currencies. So something to Google and look at if you're interested.
Great. Revolt. Okay. Jamie, if you have a second, if you can grab the link for that and throw it in the chat, if that's something you could do,
Okay.
that would be great. And I will make sure and log that for the next time. Please, please, please do not bring US currency with you and expect to go to a bank and exchange it. For one, you're not going to get an awesome rate. And for two, you have to make sure that you're available during when the bank is open. One of the trade missions that I did in South America, the person who did that didn't have money for 3 days because the banks weren't available, and so had to borrow money from other people, which I doubt anyone would like to do. Okay, onward. I'm sure this is obvious, but I just want to make sure. I had a friend who went on vacation, didn't know this, and came home with a $5,000 cell phone bill. So just talk with your provider or look it up online, see if you can get an international travel or an international calling plan. For example, Verizon, you just turn it on every day, it's $10. If you're like me and you do not like Verizon's expensive bill, I have this super cheap, I think it's Pure Talk. I have a super cheap calling plan. And so they don't even offer international. So what I do is, as soon as I get on the last plane that leaves the US, I turn off my mobile data. And as soon as I arrive in country, I have these travel Wi-Fi devices that I like to link to. It's a little device about this big, and it connects to the local cell towers and provides Wi-Fi based services everywhere there's a cell service to your phone. So you still won't be able to use your regular phone service, but you can use things like iMessage or FaceTime, any of those web-based services. I have never had experience with this, but I don't know, Michaela or Philip, if you want to talk about the SIM card option.
You can buy a local SIM card with data as a prepaid option. So if you prefer to do that, it's an option to consider.
It's super easy, so yeah, it's definitely an option, I would say.
Especially if your phone allows you to have 2 SIM cards in the device, then you can easily have both and use the local one for local calls and data, and use leave your regular SIM card there so that you can receive calls from all your contacts.
Maybe someday I'll get brave and do it. Just so I did look up, and in the Prague airport, if you click on this link, it'll show you where they're at, but you just look for this red Vodafone kiosk, and they're open 24 hours a day. I think if any of you have seen a movie about Americans going anywhere else in the world, you've probably seen where we try to plug our things in and we blow up the village or whatever it is, or knock the power out in the hotel. So let's not be those people. So make sure and bring with you, if you're just going to plug in your laptop or power up your cell phone, you should be fine. All you would need then is an outlet adapter. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alan.
This is Alan. Before you do that, you need to look at your power plug-in, either your charger or your what we call them wall warts. And on the wall wart, it'll tell you what the voltage, allowed voltage range is. And normally it's 85 to 240 volts, but you have to verify that it's a switching power supply that can handle the 220 volts that they have over in Europe. Otherwise, you'll blow up your power supply. So, or you can have the power converter. But just to directly plug into an outlet through a US 2-prong to the European round pin adapters, you need to make absolutely sure that your power supply is designed to handle the 220 volts, because there are some that aren't. So just a word of advisement, because if it blows up, you're pretty much out of luck.
Yeah. So ladies, like a straightener or a curling iron is going to be an issue. You're going to need a voltage converter for that. A lot of laptops already have one built in, so you should be okay there with just the outlet adapter. Make sure with your outlet adapter, I don't know why some of them are created differently, but make sure that they are small enough that they can fit into the inset. You see here, whereas our plugs are flush to the wall, there's our inset a fair bit. And so I had an outlet adapter that just will not fit in that inset. I don't know why. So just double check that. But oftentimes the hotel will have options for you, or you can get them at the airport or any store nearby. Thankfully, as far as reentry goes, you do not have to worry about a negative COVID test. That has been lifted. Michaela and Philip, are there any mask requirements in either of those countries right now? No. Nope. I see Germany just lifted their mask requirement on public transportation. Hooray. I'm headed to Germany on Monday, and boy, was that a shock. I'd forgotten completely about masks, and then I'm sitting on public transport and everyone's giving me a dirty look. So you don't want to be that person, especially in Germany. You need to follow the rules there. As far as what you need to pack, if there's anything special that you're going to need to bring, Michaela and Philip will let you know. But basically, we just recommend that you bring everything with you, backpack or in your suitcase. There shouldn't be that much that you're going to need to bring. This isn't a trade show. However, if there's something that's just too much to put into your suitcase, we just suggest that you ship it to the hotel. And then you just need to label that shipment with your name and that you're a guest there and what your arrival date is. And then they'll throw it in the back room and hang on to it until you check in. I'm sure you all know what to bring as far as brochures, laptops for presentations, etc. Any thoughts, Philip, on should they bring gifts for the meetings? Is that a thing?
It's certainly not required. So it's completely optional. If you have something, I would say original, not just a pen. I would not bring anything really very valuable, very expensive. So if you have some nice looking company promotional item or gift, that may be a nice treat for the people that you'll be seeing. But again, certainly not a requirement.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So we suggest that you practice your pitch, especially given how much time you're going to have. You're going to know in advance how much time you're going to be there. So you need to allow time for the pleasantries and maybe touring the facility if that's part of the meeting. But practice your pitch. Know what you're going to say in advance. Practice with if you're going to do a laptop presentation, make sure that, for example, if you're going to link to a YouTube video in your presentation, maybe have it also queued up, either download it to your laptop so you can just pull it up from there if Wi-Fi is an issue, or have it queued up on YouTube as well as in the PowerPoint. Just sometimes when you're in those meetings, that technology fails you. And so make sure and have that, practice it, allow time for questions. Also plan, are you going to be sitting in a chair across the desk? Are you going to be at a table? So plan ahead and try to make sure to plan for contingencies if you are indeed going to be sitting across the desk and have to do your presentation from your lap, for example. Probably not going to be the case, but you never know. Let's see, and have a follow-up plan too. Take good notes after the meeting or during the meeting, and make sure that you know, or before you leave the meeting, have a plan for how you're going to follow up. So do you want me to check back in a week or something like that? I know at trade shows, that is the #1 fault. People will make all these meetings at trade shows and they will meet all these people and everything's great, but they don't follow up afterwards. So if you're going to go all this way and do all these meetings, have a plan and stick to it. Especially when you get home and your email has piled up and everybody needs you, got to have a plan. Okay, we are so close here. So again, just going over the itinerary a little bit, you can get there as early as you want, but just try to arrive on the 10th or at the latest the 11th, just allowing for travel disruptions. The last thing you would want to happen is you have travel disruptions and you get there at 3 o'clock in the morning on the 12th and then have to go to an 8 a.m. meeting. That would just not be very much fun. And Michaela and Philip, you're going to have a market briefing, I think Sunday evening, and then kind of one-on-one check-in with everyone. Is that the plan still?
Yes.
Okay. Those were great the last time, because then the last time we did this together, because then everyone got a chance to kind of go over their whole itinerary. I think it probably makes everyone feel a little more comfortable. And then after those market briefings and the one-on-ones, we will walk down to Old Town Prague, and there's a beautiful astronomical clock down there that is apparently a must see. So I thought, at least if that's the only thing you see in Prague, I'd like to do that. So we can walk down to Old Town and just all go out to dinner together. So on Monday the 12th is when we'll start our official meetings, where each of you will go off and have your meetings individually with with the buyers of your choice, and then in the evening come back together for an optional Montana dinner if you are indeed in town. Some of you might be in different locations, and that's okay too. Michaela will be there. I will be there to help if you're nervous about getting a taxi or making sure you get on the right train or getting your Uber or Bolt. We'll be there to help with all of that. And if anyone's really nervous about traveling, I can go with you and at least get you there. Or if you need some help in the meetings, I can sit in with you as well. Same thing for the 13th. Everybody will have their meetings, and then we'll offer a dinner in the evening. Wednesday, the 14th, is kind of a goofy day. The only affordable flight at the time of putting this together was an evening flight. That may change as we get closer to May. They may open up more flights from Prague to Budapest. So we'll keep an eye on that. But there could be the possibility of some morning meetings in Prague, and then together that afternoon, anyone who wants to can hop in the minivan transportation with me, get to the airport, and then we'll fly via Ryanair. We won't get to Budapest until around 7 p.m. So you're looking at somewhere around 8 p.m. back to the hotel. So if anyone is just dying to have dinner, or if everyone's just dead, you can all go back to your rooms or whatever it is you want to do. But we'll kind of fly by the seat of our pants on that day. But we will get you more information around May about that flight, especially if something opens up during the day. So the 15th and 16th will be your meetings in and around Budapest. We will offer Montana dinner on the evening of the 15th, and I'll get you those details. On the 16th, you sure could fly out late on the evening of the 16th. I didn't look at all the flight options, but I recommend you just plan on flying out on the 17th. If you absolutely need to get home sooner than that, then we can look at some different options and try to squeeze in meetings as much as possible. It looks like it's actually pretty, when I booked my flight, it was pretty decent, only about 19 hours on the way home. So that's pretty good. I do recommend you bring this with you, the contact information for the embassies. Of course, Philip and Michaela will take care of us should things really get nuts while we're there. But I don't anticipate any issues, of course. But that's just, it's always a good idea to have that contact information, especially when you're off on your own during the day. I also always enroll in the State Department Smart Traveler program. It notifies the local embassy that you're coming to that area. You even actually tell them what hotel you're staying at. I envision that if something happens, SEAL Team 6 is going to come rescue me at my hotel. That'd be great. But you know, nothing's going to happen, but it's always good to have a plan. I will say they emailed me actually this morning about a demonstration at the embassy in Budapest in support of Ukraine. And so they just kind of tell you what's going on. And so I think it's a really good thing to do. It's super easy, takes 5 minutes. As I mentioned, I am a cheap person when it comes to phone plans, so you cannot call me during this time, but you can. I have an iPhone, so you can iMessage me. That works when I use that mobile Wi-Fi, or WhatsApp is a great app. I know Michaela and Philip have that, and so it's really easy to communicate back and forth with them on that. In fact, I recommend downloading WhatsApp before you leave, adding my number, adding Philip and Michaela's number on there so that you can communicate in case of emergency, or, uh-oh, what's the address? I lost my paper. Where do I go? It's a lot easier that way. I am giving you my personal email. My state email does not come directly to my phone, and so I will only see it when I have to go through this two-step authentication process. So if something's really urgent, WhatsApp me, iMessage me, or send it to my personal email, and I will get that right away. And then this is Philip and Michaela's contact information as well. And I did read about this 112 is kind of like our 911. And so if something really went sideways, that is an option for you. I'm not going to go through this line by line. I do ask that you read it. Try to remember at least the names of the, maybe the heads of state for each of the countries, because it seems like every country I go to, they know who our president is. And so it's good to return the favor. I also put in here, just so you could see it. I always find it interesting, the size of the country when compared to Montana. So this is the Czech Republic when compared to Montana. So compared to the United States, you obviously know is going to be a lot different. Sometimes that comes into conversation when it comes to your product and the population, et cetera. There is some additional information on each country. There should be a link around here somewhere. But if you want to look up any other information on population, that's available. I also like to know some of the historical figures. For example, Sigmund Freud was a Czech. Kafka was a Czech. My Favorite Symphony by Dvorak, I think is how you say it. Is that better? He was a composer, a Czech composer. Same thing about Hungary, pretty similar in size compared to Montana. Again, get to know their heads of state and some of their famous folks. Harry Houdini was Hungarian. Didn't know that. Zsa Zsa Gabor, I don't know. I think everyone is at least my age or older. So you probably know who that person is. The lady that slapped somebody on TV. I remember her. So there you go. Etiquette wise, pretty standard. My understanding in Europe is politeness goes a long way, even if you don't know every tradition or how to shake hands. There, just being polite goes a long way. But I would ask that you read through the suggestions here, especially for how to dress, how to address someone when you're first speaking to them. So you can look at each of those. And then understanding that you need to be on time, pretty similar to America. And what is not similar to America probably is, well, I would say Montana, but not always American, is you need to start the meeting with a little bit of chit chat, small talk. Again, that's where it's nice to know maybe some history. Stay away from any sort of political topics, if at all possible, but keep it light. So read through those. The greetings, Philip and Michaela. Is it the kiss? Is that right? I know that really throws Americans sometimes when you meet someone and you're like, whoa, what's happening?
Not in business meetings.
No, okay.
Not at the start, at least.
Okay.
If they go really well. No, I'm just joking. No kisses.
Yeah, I would argue if they go to the Moravia region, that anything can happen.
Okay. I know when I was in South America, boy, you meet someone for the first time and they're going in for a kiss, and that really is jarring. So. Yeah, okay.
You wouldn't really expect that here, no. But as Michaela is saying, if you go to outside of Prague, to Moravia is the eastern part, more rural. If you have a very good meeting and then maybe the company owner, manager invites you for dinner, then maybe at the end of the dinner you have become half friends, half business partners. So maybe a cheek-to-cheek kiss could happen, but I have actually never experienced that, so I'm just trying to speculate whether it could ever happen.
Okay.
They're more likely to offer you a shot of Slivovitsa, honestly, rather than a
Which is plum
I
brandy.
think plum brandy.
Oh boy. Okay. So maybe a reason not to drive.
Yes, yeah. Just to let you know, there's 0 alcohol tolerance. So yeah.
Yeah. Montana, sometimes it's, yeah, we live so far apart that a little bit of there's a decent amount of tolerance for that. Let's see. So I would say just scan through this communication style just so you kind of know what to expect. Whether they're, for example, according to this, Czechs are a little more indirect. They don't want to embarrass anyone, whereas the Hungarians could be a little more direct. I had a Hungarian taxi driver when I was in Romania, and we were best friends, and I knew everything about her life by the time I got out of the taxi. So I experienced that myself. Please, please, please print this off, the tipping guidelines. I think no matter where you go, if they hear your American accent, they just assume you're going to tip well. But these are the standards here based on the internet. So just have that with you and kind of plan ahead. Wouldn't hurt to over tip, I don't think, but just look through those. I'm not going to read them off to you. It would take forever. Now, normally I say try to learn some of the, the standard. Hello, please, thank you. I'm going to say good luck. I'm going to try my hardest to have at least a couple of them down. But I don't know if you want, Philip, if you want to go over any of them, just at least so we can hear it said.
I suggest we do this when we have the in-market briefing.
Okay.
I think people would forget before they come here.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yes.
But at least maybe you can practice before you go, and then you'll remember it when you get there. But just here's some of the common phrases. Okay, so you can get your reimbursement after everything is over. You can get your reimbursement right away as soon as you get back. You just need to fill out this reimbursement questionnaire. And all I really need is your hotel and your airfare. We don't, if those 2 things will get you to over $2,000, that's all I need. If it doesn't get you there, then we can look at, taxi receipts, car rental receipts, things like that. I do not do meals because it requires a completely separate form, and it's a pain, and you don't want to do it, and I don't want to do it. But that $2,000 should easily be handled with your airfare and your hotel. You will have to provide a W-9. I know some of you have gotten funds from us before. If we already have your W-9, you can just upload a form that says you've got my W-9, or you can just take 5 minutes and fill it out. We also require EFT, what's that, electronic fund transfer forms now, so that we can send the money directly to your bank. If we write a check, it's an extra step. It takes way longer, and it costs money. There's a cost to our program associated with it. So if we can just transfer it straight to your bank account, you'll get it sooner, and it will free up more money for our program. So that will be part of it as well. As you're going through your planning with Philip and Michaela, if there's anything else that you need, we can help with any of that. Or in your conversations, it looks like you're going to get, let's just say, $1 million order, and in order to take care of that order, you're going to need $500,000 cash flow. There, we do have through the Small Business Administration some grants and some loans and some loan guarantees that can help you get that short-term financing for working capital. The Export-Import Bank, XM, they offer an export credit insurance program. So if one of your contacts in this is asking for net 30, and you're going to have to come up with, you're going to have to extend yourself on accounts receivable, then you can get this credit insurance for pennies on the dollar, and that will help protect you from not getting paid. And then anything else that our STEP grant can help with, whether it's translation, digital marketing, getting your website ready for international visitors, going to other trade shows, et cetera, just let me know. So now we've got just about 10 minutes left. Were there any questions that you wanted to ask, or anything you needed from Michaela or Philip before we move on to getting everyone set up for the one-on-ones?
Done for me, super helpful.
Quick question, Angie. Oh, John here. What 2 hotels are you staying at?
I will zoom back up here. It's it's in the document that I sent you, but I will resend it after this. But these are the hotels here that Michaela and Philip suggest for us.
Thank you.
I'm really excited. We have a really diverse group and there are more signing on hopefully soon. So it's going to be a really fun group. Any other questions? Now, you can reach Philip and Michaela anytime. Just so you know, I'm going to be gone for the next couple of weeks. So if there's anything urgent, I'll try to keep up on my email while I'm at this trade show. But Philip and Michaela are available, and so you can reach out to them with any questions too.
If I may, Angie, maybe just to explain how the process works or our work goes from now until the visit.
Yeah.
We would like to start very soon with the initial research of the market and identification of prospective partners or customers. So from those companies where we don't have your information yet, the intake form that we use, your PDFs that we can also distribute to local companies, and also your prepayment. If or when I send you our initial invoice, we would like you to handle all these things really as soon as possible. We like to move forward with the initial research, after which we will share our list of targets with you for comments, which is completely optional. If you do have comments, they may be helpful for us. If not, we'll just go ahead because we know the market. And then, of course, we will make sure to give you some updates. We may come back to you with questions. We've normally fixed the meetings in the last couple of weeks before the actual visit. So you would get the final itinerary with confirmed dates and meeting times maybe a week before, in the week before your arrival. But of course, you'll hear from us much earlier than that. If we see any difficulties, if we have any questions, if we see a need to maybe refocus the search, of course, we'll be in communication with you throughout the next 3 months. And maybe just one practical comment, going back to Angie's excellent presentation. She really knows a lot about our countries. Where you spoke about using WhatsApp, which is really widespread here. One difference is that we do not use emails for instant messaging. So whenever we are waiting in the lobby for someone who got a few minutes late, and Angie would say, I'll email him if he's joining us for dinner. that's something that a European person would not do, because we handle emails maybe, well, some people like me handle them all day through, but some people handle emails only once per day or maybe twice per day. So you would use one of the instant messaging services or a text message or just a regular call if you need a response quickly.
That's a good point. Thank you. Anybody else, especially those of you who haven't done these with us before, any other questions about how this works or anything like that?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay,
Helen is on
great.
the phone.
Okay, well, I'm going to let everybody
Not
go
Alan, Mark,
then.
sorry. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Mark. I'm going to let everybody go then. And if you have anything where it was a little more specific, you didn't want to bring it up in this meeting, just let me know, or Michaela and Philip can answer any questions for you. That's what they're there for. So otherwise, I'll after this meeting, once the recording is available, I'll resend you the document and send you the recording, and then we'll just keep moving forward with planning, and we'll check in again probably in another month or so and just see where everybody's at. And if you have any questions along the way, let me know.
One last thing for me, if you have not been to Prague yet, then because we will try to keep you busy on the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning, you may want to fly in on Friday or Saturday so that you can enjoy Prague at least on the Sunday.
That's a great point, and I'm definitely going to do that myself. And if anyone is traveling alone and doesn't want to be alone on Sunday when you're going around Prague, let me know. And I like to walk around and look at things and be my own little travel planner. So glad to help. All right, folks. Well, let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Angie.
It was a pleasure.